Morning, Christelle. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Nice to have you with us. I hear some chirping in the background. That's a pet bird with you?
No, it's just the birds outside.
Okay. Wow, they're loud.
Yeah.
How's the weather in Northern California today?
It's getting warmer.
Okay. We've got the June gloom down here.
Oh. Well, that makes it hard.
Keeps it a little cooler.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be a comfortable Father's Day weekend.
Oh, yeah. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
The family hasn't told me what we're doing yet, and sometimes they forget, and then they ask, well, what do you want to do? And if that's the course that it takes this year, and they ask me, I already have my answer. I'm going to tell them on Saturday I'd like to go see the movie The Incredibles. We got The Incredibles 2 out, and so we'll just all go as a family to the theater, and I'll enjoy some theater popcorn.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah, be a fun family time.
I know my dad hasn't said what he wanted to do.
Oh, okay. So that might be your background with the birds, so we might need to have you mute on that. Let's see. Yeah, that it seemed like that went away there, so good, we're better. Okay. Well, good morning, team. It's 10 o'clock. Great to have all of you this morning. So for those of you that are new to the call, I'm Brent Hill, and in Southern California, and I'm the host for this monthly lifestyle call. It was started just 2 months ago in kind of a more larger group format, because I felt the time was very important for us to capitalize on all the great things we're doing across all the regions relative to lifestyle and building community. And we had done some informal meetings with just a couple of the regions, but again, the timing seemed to be right to really expand it. We're doing such exciting things across the regions. Really is this opportunity to share a lot of our best practices, success stories, as well as opportunities that we have, and even put those to the team as well for feedback and ideas. And in the past meetings, we've done some voting and received some feedback. In fact, from the very first meeting that we had, we got feedback on suggestions for topics for this monthly discussion. And one of the requests was to talk about how to create budgets for activities and events. So today we have a special guest from Associa, Dustin Goodell, and I see Dustin's on the phone. He's going to present to us shortly about planning and creating budgets. And if you'll look, I'm sharing on the screen now our monthly lifestyle meeting agenda. And just so you all know, I am recording the call, and I do that just so we can share with others that aren't able to make it due to their schedule. If something does come up during the call, please type in your conversation. There in the lower left of Skype is the little talk icon, and you can type in there, and I'll look for your conversation notes coming up as well. Also, just so everyone knows that Skype can be a little unreliable for me, so if we do have an issue where my audio drops, when I catch that, I'll probably log out and then I'll log back in again. If it does cut anyone off, I apologize in advance, and then we'll just have you log back in again. But I do get that with Skype every now and then. Will drop my audio for no apparent reason. So with that said, let's take a look at the agenda here on the screen. So we'll talk about, again, creating a lifestyle budget. Before that, we're going to talk about Easton Park. That's our highlight community for today. And in just a moment, Colette and Allison will give us an overview and then talk a little bit more about the exciting things that are going on in Easton Park in our Austin region. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview on North American customer experience, some of the work that we're doing with the center-led team that I'm a part of. And we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening in that customer experience space. And then we'll talk about any of your ideas. We'll kind of go across the different regions, and anyone wants to participate and contribute, just 30 seconds to 60 seconds on summer ideas and planning events and things that you have planned for your individual regions over the next summer months. And I put a little note here as well that as we are approaching summer, it's the time when we engage with the majority of our homeowners. We see them at events, clubhouses, walking with the family. this is really the opportunity to take advantage of the time to renew relationships with our customers and help our new homeowners to create their place of belonging. So definitely an exciting time for all of us. And as we talked about before, we really are the inspirational leaders and champions for lifestyle within the organization. And that's such an important part as far as the aspiration of one of our three values, and is so important for that long-term success and our value as an organization going forward, that sense of belonging and community. So we're the leaders in that regard, those of us here on the phone. With that said, I'm going to advance the slide, and you'll take a look here at the homepage for Easton Park. And I'm really excited today that we have Colette Cosby on the phone. Colette's responsible for lifestyle in Easton Park. And Colette, thanks for joining us. We look forward to hearing about the exciting things that are happening there. If you just do the brief introduction of yourself, and then tell us a bit more about Easton Park and some of the exciting things that are happening there.
Sure. Okay. So, as I said, my name is Colette Cosby, and I'm the Lifestyle Director at Easton Park. We are a community in Southeast Austin. Right now, we are about 300 homes closed, and we're looking for, and we're about to start a section in Skyline Park, which is the section park, which is soon. So for Easton Park, we are eventually approximately 6,500 homes, so we have quite a ways to go, but definitely excited about getting started. In terms of our intention, a little bit about our each section is
Colette, we may have got you on mute there. Sorry, are you still with us?
I think hitting *6 may bring her back.
Let me see if I can do that here. Colette, I'm sorry we can't hear you on. Yeah, there you are. You're back now. We lost you for about 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think I got muted. Okay, well, I'll start here again.
Sorry about that. We got, I think, to 6,500 homes is really your target. So you're 300 advancing towards 6,500, which there's quite a bit of road ahead.
Yes, there's quite a bit of road ahead. But our neighbors or our residents so far are very much excited to see the changes and things that are coming. Each section of Easton Park is going to be modeled after a different section throughout the country. So we have our Bryant Park, which is modeled after Bryant Park in New York. If you've ever seen a movie where they're playing the chess at the tables, you get that idea. And then we have Skyline, which is modeled after, then we have Nob Hill, which is modeled after San Francisco and the rolling hills. And we actually have a trolley, an old Austin trolley that we converted into a playground or a playscape for children.
Wow.
So try to definitely bring in aspects of Austin and keep it, a little that funky Austin vibe going on. To tell you a little bit about some of the lifestyle activities that we've got going on, I think let's start with kind of the monthly ones. So every month we always do a First Friday food truck. Our First Friday food trucks have been extremely popular with our residents because we are in an area that's it's a less populated area as of now, while there are a number of communities sprouting up. So they like the option of being able to come out, hang out with the rest of their neighbors, grab a meal, and usually we average about 100 residents at these events, which is pretty good considering our numbers. This is an event that we do where we bring the food trucks, but the residents still pay for the food as well. So it's essentially a low-cost event for the HOA. And we also do a monthly resident mixer, and so those can vary in size and kind of depends. Like tonight we have one that's going to be we're having a dog trainer come in, and then afterwards we're going to have a yappy hour. So, you can learn a little bit about dog training because this is Austin and everybody has dogs, and then hang out and have, a beverage and stuff, and meet your neighbors again. And those are fairly well attended. We usually do about, 50 to 60 people at those, and we always do those during the week. to kind of, give it like on a Thursday. It's like, the happy hour you normally do if you were to go out to a bar or something of that nature. And then finally, each quarter, we'll do a bigger event. We actually just finished our last big event this Saturday, which we did East Games, which is essentially like a field day. And the field day activities, so we had like a dunk tank and obstacle course, slip and slide, water balloon toss, those types of activities for our residents to do. And one of the bigger things that I've noticed with Easton Park is we have such a variety in our residents, because we'll have those with kids, which we are targeted towards millennials. So we'll have those with kids who are younger children, probably under the age of 5. And then we have the age group where we bought the house, we've got the dog, but we haven't quite gone to the minivan and the kids yet. And then we have a few people who I would definitely consider empty nesters. So we have quite a variety going on. And so when planning activities like our East Games, it's very important that I add in things that will appeal to all ages in that aspect. So you still got to have something for that kid who can barely walk, but just sitting in the kiddie pool and playing with the ducks, and that was just an activity. And parents enjoy that type of thing, but or the slip and slide, which is all ages. So a little bit about some of the activities that we've done. To talk a little bit about some of the opportunities, a big opportunity for us is that we have not built our amenity center yet. And so because of that, all of our activities occur outside and are very dependent upon the weather. And Austin heat is not an easy thing to deal with. So a lot of that has dictated a lot of the programming that we're doing this summer. So we're doing a lot of things either early morning on the weekend or evening time.
And Colette, was the decision not to build the amenity center at opening purely a cost-driven consideration?
It was, to my understanding, pretty much covered. It was driven by, we wanted to get homes on the ground, and the amenity center was also on the other side of the road, which permitting was also an issue.
To what extent has that created challenges? And you mentioned certainly the weather, but any other challenges then in you and building lifestyle early on with some of those first of the 300 homeowners?
I would say the other challenge potentially by not having a centralized meeting place that pulls people away. So our Bryant Park section has bathrooms and has a large flat park, and whereas our Nob Hill section, it's very much a steep hill, and there are no restrooms and things of that nature. So it has been difficult sometimes engaging the Nob Hill residents to make that journey to Bryant Park.
Yes.
And but we're getting over that, and a lot of it is also that they just moved in. Most of them have been there less than 6 months. Whereas Bryant Park has been there about 2 years.
Okay.
Other questions that anybody has about Easton Park or some of the activities that we've done? All right, well, I'll tell you about one more that was fairly popular that we did. We did a s'mores and bourbon night, which was kind of our winter social. So we had bunches of burners so people could make their s'mores, and they could pick different types of chocolate. And it was fun because it was an activity that was very adult-driven, but it was still had an activity for our younger kids who could come up and make their own s'mores. And so everybody had a blast, and we had a bartender and our own signature drink.
Wow. I love the balance of that too, between the adult but yet with youthful theme. That's the first I've heard s'mores and bourbon. I think that's awesome, Colette. And so how was that funded? Was that through your lifestyle or activities budget?
That was funded through our lifestyle and activities budget. As an event overall, honestly, we did, Alice and I did a little building and things of that nature, building like to make the setup for the event. So that's how we kind of kept it low cost.
Mm-hmm.
And then, honestly, the most expensive aspect of it was the bartender. But it was primarily funded through our lifestyle budget. Some of the activities that we've done that are funded through different revenue streams, I suppose, would be we funded our East games. AT&T came out, and they actually were a sponsor for our inflatables and our dunk tank, so that covered a lot of that cost.
Great.
In addition, we're doing movies in the park, and we have a few sponsorships for that, so they're covering some of the costs of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Is AT&T then a major service provider within Easton Park, or just the surrounding community or city, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
So are they, for example, an internet or TV content provider?
Internet. I don't think they have TV content per se, but internet, telephone, and so on and that type, and then
Okay.
obviously telephone.
Okay, got it. Well, it's great that you got the sponsorship from them. Wonderful. Who were some of the other sponsors that you got for some of the events?
So we are done being FCU, which is a credit union, and so they are sponsoring some of our one of our events, and then we are working with Holly Honda, which is a kind of a local car dealership.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do some stuff for us as well.
Terrific. I like that. An auto dealer and a credit union there in the area, providing local services, but that's terrific opportunities for sponsorship. That's great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very creative. That's good. So is there anything so far with 300 homeowners there, apart from maybe opening the amenity center, is there anything else that maybe you would have done differently in opening this new community and establishing lifestyle with your initial homeowners?
Well, let me say this. Easton Park and I guess the Austin area is very unique in that all of our HOA is underneath Brookfield. We are not a third party.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very different in that I think we come with definitely a different Brookfield field, and we're part of the vision ideally we would be part of the vision from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So with that decision was made with Easton Park after our first set of homeowners moved in, and I do think that caused quite a bit of just confusion for them because we went from having a company in place to then switching over, and for them, like, they only know, okay, oh, there's a lifestyle director here, or oh, there's a community manager. They don't see the back end of it, and so for them to understand, okay, and it's just the little things that, like, okay, now I need to change where my direct deposit goes, or I have an issue, who do I talk to? I wish we could have made that a little bit smoother for them.
Okay.
But, you communicate as much as you can and then try to help them out when they do reach out.
Yes. And Colette, do you have an office, a physical location that's there in Easton Park?
So currently, actually, I am being moved to the new model row, which we are setting up. But prior to that, I was in the Experience Park trailer, which was also kind of our trailer for our model row as well.
Okay.
Initial start.
Okay. So you're accessible to prospective home buyers as well as your current homeowners.
Yes.
That's great. Good. Good. So you can field at least some of those questions and help them through that process, as you mentioned, relative to things like HOA, property, and community management.
Right. Absolutely.
Good. Good. That's great. Well, good. Congratulations on all the success there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Doing some exciting and innovative things. I particularly like what you're doing as far as the sponsorship is concerned. I think that's great. I think many of us are facing some of those similar challenges, concerning budget, and the opportunity to reach out for sponsorships. I know that there are others in some regions that are looking to do that, so it's just great to hear that you've done that and the creativity behind that to make things happen. And I love the s'mores and bourbon too. I mean, I wrote that idea down because I think that's terrific. And then let me ask you one last question, Colette, then we'll open it up to the team for additional questions or thoughts. Are you doing anything to help welcome your new homeowners into the community, maybe in those first 15 or 30 days with some type of an activity or process to help them get to know their neighbors, get to know their community, really help them, establish their sense of belonging early?
Okay, so we have been doing kind of our standard new homeowner orientations. In addition to that, because we are still in the process of filling out some things, what we've been doing is actually literally hand delivering some notes to residents to make sure that they feel welcome and they know how to access us. And that has been definitely something we're working towards getting established, set routines. Part of that set routine will eventually establish an ambassador committee. And our goal of the ambassador committee for those residents to be able to reach out to people like right when they close, if not maybe even before, and be able to get them in the groove and introduce them to a few people so it's not like you're arriving at the party and you don't know anybody there.
Love the idea. That's great. I love that, the ambassadors. That's great. Excellent. Good. Well, thank you, Colette. So let's open it up to the team. Is anyone particularly interested in the idea of s'mores and bourbon? Anyone thinking they're going to start that? I'm hearing someone open it up. There's a vote there. I can hear it.
I think in Playa we may do like a wine tasting with One Hope Winery, because that has a charitable component and it kind of gives back to a cause.
Thank you, Sandra. That's
but
great.
we really keep anything that we're serving alcohol. It's just strictly an adult audience. We don't let children.
Good. Thanks for that thought and comment on that. That's Sandra Kitashima, who was in our Playa Vista office. She's actually here in our Southern California office with Opal, who's also on her team for lifestyle there in Playa Vista. Good. So thanks for that comment, Sandra. Others, questions or comments for Colette?
Hi, this is Charlene calling from the Edmonton office. Colette, thank you for the presentation. I have a little bit of a different directed question for you. I see that you guys have Brookfield and Buffington building there right now, and you're going to have some future builders. Does your HOA work with your builder partners to ensure they understand the activities that you're doing and the value of the park, so that they know what the great things that you are doing, so that they can help support that message to the prospective resident or customer that's coming to them? Do you have anything in play that helps support that?
Okay, so I work with our marketing manager, Paige Stockton. You may or may not know her, and she often communicates things that we have coming up in terms of to the prospective builders. In addition, because we have events such as the food truck, which is driven by people actually buying, those are open to the community as well. So a number of times we often encourage them to say, if you have somebody that you would like, to come out, definitely invite them to our monthly food truck, or definitely invite them to a specific event that we're having that's open to the public. And that way that they get that opportunity to kind of mix and mingle as well. And in addition to that, the marketing team does a number of great events. We just finished, actually, done a lot of big events lately. We just finished the Parkapalooza, which was a large prospect event that they worked with, or builders were actually present at.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. Very good question. Excellent. Great. Other thoughts, questions, or comments?
So this is Sandra from Playa. One of the things that we've implemented this year is what we're calling the Touch Point program. So sales is responsible for filling out a form that is sent to marketing that details, the homeowner's name, when they're going to get their keys, a little bit about the family, like the children, what their interests are. And then Allison's team crafts a very personalized gift basket for them. So the first day that they move in and they walk into their kitchen, there's this very personalized gift basket for them that's geared to their lifestyle. And then I wait about a week or two. Opal and I wait a couple of weeks after the homeowners move in so they can get settled, and then we reach out to them. And we ask to meet with them, whether it's a conference call because some of them are exceptionally busy, or meet in person, to give them a very high level overview of Playa Vista, all the amenities, the events, the programs, who oversees what portion, because it gets kind of confusing because we've got retail, residential, commercial, and then we're there to answer any questions that they have. And then we present them with a $100 gift card to a local restaurant in Playa Vista with a handwritten card. So it's really personalizing that whole experience. And then they know, like, if they have any further questions, just don't hesitate, give us a call. We're happy to assist them or point them in the right direction. And it's been very well received.
That's great, Sandra. Thanks for sharing that. That's a comprehensive welcome program, and I think that's terrific. And I like the way that Allison, our director of marketing there, is really helping to kind of personalize to them specifically, right, with the gift baskets. I think that's terrific.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Good. Other thoughts or comments from the team? Thank you for the discussion too. It's wonderful. Great to hear the questions and the feedback. It's great. Keep it going. Anyone else? Okay, well, hearing none, Colette, thanks so much. Those are exciting things happening in Easton Park. We'll look forward to hearing the ongoing updates as you continue down that path towards 6,500. That's a wonderful community. Wonder what you're doing there, and it's just amazing to hear all the creative things that you're doing with all the various programs there. So thanks for sharing all that with us and all the excitement.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I'm going to advance the slide here, and we're going to move a little bit forward to talk about a little more of a practical topic. And my thought as far as the theme for these discussions is around, and thank you, Kat up in Toronto. Call it, we got a thumbs up for s'mores and bourbon. So that's great. Thank you for that, Kat. It's a good vote. I agree. I like that idea as well. So the thought of this call was both to share ideas and some best practices across the region, support one another too, and again, different ideas, or even where we have opportunities within certain areas, and collectively sharing ideas and thoughts about how to tackle those opportunities. But we also wanted a practical side as well. And the past couple of calls, for example, I've done some polling to get some feedback and have a little fun. Just opted not to do that today, just for a little bit of switch since we've done it before. But as I mentioned at the start of the call, that from one of the initial polls that we did, I think it was in the first call actually that we had, I asked for feedback on practical topics that people would like to hear. And one of those is about budgeting for lifestyle and activities. So I'm happy to announce that we have Dustin Goodell of Associa. Dustin is based out of Dallas at the corporate office, and I'll have Dustin say a little bit more about his background. But Dustin brings a wealth of experience to Associa, both in terms of property management, but also a lot in terms of building lifestyle. And he draws on his experience being in the hospitality business. And so I'll have Dustin share again a little more of his background. But this practical presentation is about building lifestyle activities and events budgets. And he'll share, and I'm going to share actually on the screen a couple of examples of budgets as Dustin walks through those. And again, this will be another open conversation where we're going to be asking for any questions or comments that you have. So Dustin, thanks for joining us. And if you'd give us a little background on yourself and history and a little perspective on Associa, and then your thoughts too on building community as well as on budget specifically. Dustin.
Sure, my pleasure. And for those of you like myself who can see the screen, we are giving away that bowl with those $100 bills that Brent has donated to the first person who asks a question after my presentation. So everyone get ready. And Brent, thank you so much for that donation.
Absolutely. Love it. Great idea to prompt questions. Thanks, Dustin.
Well, here's the deal. I'm Dustin Goodell. And I've been in the HOA management industry for 23 years. And before that, I was in the hotel industry for 17 years. So obviously I'm dating myself. I'm an old guy. But when Brent asked me to chat today, I thought about how I could kind of tie the hospitality industry into what you and I do every day in terms of the homeowner association industry. And I was fortunate enough to work for companies like Fairmont Hotels, Marriott Hotels, and my background included 4- and 5-star properties everywhere from California to Texas to Denver to New Orleans. And really, they were wonderful hotels. They were wonderful buildings. And what though made them special, and I ask each and every one of you to think about, when you think about your favorite restaurant, when you think about your favorite hotel, it's not necessarily, the great room, the great price. But what I think we would all agree with is that it's the great events that these hotels created as a memory for you. Hey, we love going to XYZ Hotel because of the New Year's Eve party. Hey, we always have Mother's Day brunch at this restaurant or this hotel. I attended a wedding, and it was such a great wedding that the hotel hosted. And really, great hotels are not only fabulous rooms and great level of service. Really what they do is they create lifestyle events that keep people coming back. And really what we have an opportunity to do each and every day is create that same feeling within our communities, to create those memories of those fun events that keep our residents, happy and engaged with their community, but also sort of like Brookfield's mantra, creating customers for life. So when we buy into a Brookfield community and our family grows and now we're going to move, really what we've done in their minds and in their hearts is create an allegiance to like, hey, we're going to buy another house, and really we're just looking for another Brookfield residential community to move to because we enjoy living there so much. And I know it may sound corny, but I'm a big believer in that whether it's a 4-star, 5-star hotel, or whether it's a wonderfully constructed Brookfield community, it's really the people. It's our employees and the residents that breathe life into that community. And really, it's the people who make it a community and a sense of belonging. And Colette, you touched on several specific events that really bring people together and give them a reason for living there and continuing to live there. So that's a brief background on me, but I wanted to, and usually I ask this question in front of an audience, and people are, can raise their hand or not raise their hand. So this is a little bit more of a challenge, but I'm going to do it anyway. So how many people on the phone have an unlimited budget for social events? You have more money than you could possibly spend for your lifestyle events. And go ahead and somebody say, if you do, go ahead and speak up. Correct. No one, absolutely no one on this call and in most businesses has an unlimited budget for lifestyle events. So how do we approach that? How do we get the most out of our budget dollars? And how do we look at our budgets and figure out the best way to deliver an exemplary lifestyle program for our communities? One thing, and my computer just kind of zipped off, but let me log back in. One thing that I'm sure you do, and is first of all, going into each fiscal year, a thorough understanding of what our budget is to begin with. And it probably ranges from zero to hopefully several $1,000s. But first of all, what's our working knowledge of how much money we have to spend? And that then therefore drives, we want to have X amount of events per year, X amount of events per quarter, X amount of events per month. How do we achieve that with whatever budget we have available? So the first thing I would suggest, and Brent, if we have one of those worksheets, if that's possible, if we could put that on the screen.
Excel, Dustin.
I think it's the Excel, which gives the items.
That's the Dartmouth.
No, the one that Mark put together.
Okay.
So when we're thinking about our events from a budgetary point of view, is first of all, what items are we going to spend money on? How much is it going to cost? And is there a tool that we can sit there and say, okay, I'm thinking about a catered event, and by catered, it could be hot dogs and hamburgers. It could be something by the pool. It could be, if we don't have a clubhouse, can we do it in a model home? Can we do it in somewhere outside? And I think this sheet that's up there helps you in terms of, okay, I need to just go down the list, and this is just a checklist of what do I need and how much is it going to cost. So when we're thinking about expenses per event, you may have a version of this already. If you do, that's absolutely great. I'm a big believer in sharing information, and if it helps, great, keep it. If you've got something better, to tell you the truth, I think the intent of this call is to share with one another best practices and really a template for establishing costs for events. This may be a helpful tool, or we can share other tools amongst the group on the phone about how do we know in advance of the event that we're planning what it's going to cost. Mm-hmm. And again, I would suggest that Colette brought up several good points about, hey, we're going to do a burgers and brew type event. Is there a local brewery? Is there a local winery of some kind that can come in and donate and participate to reduce those costs? And so again, A, what's my budget for the year? B, when I'm planning events, how am I planning it out item by item so that I keep within budget? Am I bidding out, the event properly in terms of food and beverage, in terms of tables and chairs, in terms of, we want to set up a DJ? Are we bidding that out properly? And also from a budgetary point of view, and I'm sure all of you do this, what are our low cost, no cost events that bring us great value? Do we have the walking club? Do we have, putting on a tennis tournament, a pickleball tournament? Well, one thing that many of our communities do, believe it or not, is we do potluck, where the homeowners actually bring their own food and we provide beverages, but people get to kind of show off their special recipes and their special dishes. And all of a sudden, it's a very fun event at a very low cost. Or on the other spectrum, now, if you have the Dartmouth slide, Brent,
yes.
The other end of the spectrum is, hey, we have a sufficient budget, and we're going to do some fun, fairly upscale events where we can have nice meals and something. As you can see, this is a company that is based out of Boston, and it's like, hey, we're going to do a nice catered dinner, beer, wine, soda, and water, decorations, so forth and so on. But again, it's a matter of let's break it down in advance so that we know what it's going to cost. And also based on history, as we're looking at 2019 and we're looking at our budget for lifestyle activities, here's what we've done in the past. And therefore, I can develop a more cogent budget for next year based on these events. And I'm going to digress slightly, but also the big thing is, was the event well received? And I won't go into, SurveyMonkey and that sort of thing now, but I'm sure all of you in some form or fashion reach out to your residents and say, hey, did you enjoy this one, this one, this one, or would you like to see something different? And that will also drive your budgetary expenses. So this is just an example, and you can page down to show what they've done during the course of the year. And again, it's everything from a nice catered event for several $1,000s to just a fun little event for $1,400.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the biggest thing is bid everything out. What sort of local support can we get to defray our costs? Know our numbers going into the next year, and what can we do to drive those numbers up? Or what do we need to do in terms of anticipating the residents themselves throwing in a few dollars to make the budget work for you? So really, one of my favorite sayings is when we talk to our homeowners, we ask them the question, or they tell their friends and neighbors, we love living here because of blank. And our job is to know how they would fill that blank in. We love living here because of the lifestyle events. We love living here because of the sense of community. And I'm a firm believer that whether we have a ton of money or whether we have very, very little funds, we as managers, our job is to create that sense of community through ongoing fun events. Bunko, as you know, costs nothing. The guy's poker night costs nothing. A nice catered dinner or 4th of July celebration costs X amount of dollars. How does that compare to our budget? So really, my role and my thoughts today are simply that our budgets are never adequate, but let's know the numbers going in. Let's know what it's cost us in the past. Let's bid everything out properly, and let's get local support and local vendors to participate in our events. And let's do as many lifestyle events as possible within the budget. So I think that's what makes the difference in terms of creating a customer for life, is that lifestyle event and that sense of community. And I'll be quiet, and that's my pitch, and that's my spiel.
That's great, Dustin. Thank you so much. Thanks for that perspective and some specific guidance as well. Well, the bowl with the $100 in it is on the table for someone that wants to ask the first question.
Then I think, Brent, you and I split it was the deal if nobody had a question.
Yes, it sounds like that's correct. Yes.
Thank you, Dustin.
Good. Well, Dustin, then we'll take it from there, and we'll certainly share the budgets, the examples that Dustin has with his approval as templates that you might want to consider. Are there any tips or techniques that anyone on the call has found has been useful in planning and executing your budgets through the year?
We pretty much mirror exactly what Dustin has showcased here. And it really helps track historically, costs year after year, and especially when we're trying to incorporate new events, especially in Playa Vista. I think by the end of the year, we will have incorporated 12 new fresh ideas. Mm-hmm. So, we're kind of learning that way too. Some of them were under budget. Some of them were like, oh, wow, that costs a lot more than we thought.
Great. Thanks, Sandra. Good. Any others? Okay. Well, Dustin, thanks again for your time. We appreciate the presentation and you joining us today and your perspective.
My pleasure.
Good. Well, I'm going to, minimize these here, and we'll go back to the presentation here. And the last topic that I wanted to share with everyone is the Brookfield customer experience. This is a North American-wide initiative that started last year, but really kind of took its roots and really got some structure to it this year, coming out of a leadership meeting in Austin in February was then the announcement of a small steering committee of which I'm a part of that, and one of the team members who was just with us on the call, Katarina Rogers, who needed to leave the call a little bit early, but she's out of Toronto and runs the customer service team there in Toronto. She's a part of this team as well, that we're putting some structure around our initiative to really make Brookfield the very best in terms of customer service that we provide. There are really kind of three areas to an aspiration that was developed, and I'm going to advance the slide here, that will help us as an organization really place our focus and our energy around the customer experience. So there are really kind of three primary drivers or aspirations to help us support this focus around the customer experience. One is that we would inspire raving fans who advocate for us. Second, that we establish Brookfield as a trusted partner and expert in home ownership and home services. And also the customer experience for Brookfield is where meaningful community is built. And obviously the purpose of this call and what we've been talking about is really about that third aspiration. But all three of those three bullet points you see, are what have been defined as really kind of our true north as we begin to define the Brookfield customer experience. Now, many of you may have heard of the term customer for life. It's kind of been used around this initiative that as we improve our customer experience, we want to create customers for life. Well, the steering committee, and we actually just formed a phrase for this team because steering committee sounded a little bit bland. So we created the term customer crew, C-R-E-W. CREW stands for cross-regional experience work. The cross-region is what's important, that this is really a balance between both a center-led initiative, what you might call corporate, meaning that there are some corporate or center-led initiatives that we could lead for all of the regions. For example, when you think about website work and development, that's something that's best managed typically from a center-led position with the investment, but the cross-regional component includes input from all of the regions toward the best experience for the customer from a web presence perspective. The same thing with a number of initiatives related to the experience, where we have the regions working on various different initiatives that meet their needs within the regions, but yet we want to bring them up and share those across the organization, and that's where the center-led or this crew team, cross-regional experience work, will help with that effort of initiatives that will focus on the experience overall. And the focus and really kind of the true north for these initiatives will be these three pillars here. So customer for life essentially will be inspired and established when we do these three things, especially when we inspire raving fans, those that are just so excited about the experience, that purchase experience, and then even living in their community for long term. Those raving fans will want to advocate for us as Brookfield. So not only might they be customers for life, in other words, repeat purchases with us, but they're going to tell family and friends. That's the advocacy that goes beyond just having a great experience, but they're so passionate and excited, they'll tell others. So raving fans that advocate for us. Second is we've maintained this aspiration that we really want to establish Brookfield as a trusted partner and expert, that we have knowledge about home ownership, community experience, community living, and that in that regards we are a trusted partner that someone looks to for information and advice about home ownership, home services, all of those pieces. Then the third, again, is where meaningful community is built. And when we establish the specific verbiage, we didn't want to say communities because it's more than just the physical location. And obviously this is what we've been talking about on this call, what they're doing in Easton Park, what Dustin talked about, what's been shared by several of you today, what you're doing in your communities, is that we really establish that sense of community. So it's meaningful community, and it's where meaningful community is built. That, again, is carrying that experience forward. And that really is the scope when we think about the Brookfield customer experience. It actually starts at the very front end when you even think about land and opening brand new communities. We talked a little bit earlier with Colette about the amenity there and the proper timing on opening things such as an amenity to be able to then begin that process of establishing a sense of community. So those decisions are very much made by the land team, obviously the housing team as far as the construction of the home and that purchase experience, and on into the community phase, of which all of us as leaders in that space affect that for our customers on a long-term basis. And on a long-term basis, continue to really drive forward all three of these inspirations. So again, we've transitioned from the term customer for life. You won't see that as much. What you really are going to see is this term Brookfield customer experience that encapsulates these three aspirations, customer for life being a part of that, but really these three are the important aspirations that we're going to drive forward. So there'll be more work happening, but I'll tell you that all of you on the call as leaders are really affecting this today in the customer experience, especially in that third aspiration specifically about meaningful community, what you do on a day-to-day basis. So the important reason for this call, one of them, is for us to be able to share ideas, support one another, continue to share best practices. That's very important in us achieving this particular aspiration and overall that ongoing exceptional Brookfield customer experience. So I wanted to give you an update. There's more to follow on this. I'll tell you that just last Thursday I was in Denver and the regional presidents had their own meeting. It was the first kind of formal meeting that they've had as a group at that level. They've been wanting to do that. They had one informal meeting in Austin, Texas for that leadership meeting that I mentioned, but this is the first formal meeting. And they gave me about 30 minutes on their agenda at the end of their segment in Denver to present really what you're seeing here as far as this new aspiration, the crew team, and a little bit of some of the initiatives that we're looking at. So there'll be more to follow on this. In addition to, you've seen probably on Compass the playbooks, like Alan Norris did the playbook video talking about the company and what our long-term goals and objectives are. Adrian Foley is going to talk a bit as well about the customer experience, and then you'll be seeing more coming on Compass as well as we communicate to the entire company about what's happening in this space. But I wanted to let all of you know the key role that you play today specifically in helping us carry forward the Brookfield customer experience on a long-term basis through all that you do in community and through lifestyle events and activities. So that's a little overview on what we're doing there at that level. I'll pause for just a second. Any questions, comments, or thoughts on what I've mentioned about the Brookfield customer experience? Okay, well, feel free to email me if you have questions, but look for more communication and information both within your regions as well as from a center-led perspective through Compass in particular. So with that said, team, I'm going to advance the slide. I wanted to give everyone an opportunity, if there are any updates you have beyond what we're talking about here. This is kind of our around the world updates, kind of our mini TED Talk, if you will, from each region. Are there any of the regions that would like to share some of the exciting things that you've been doing, things you have planned for the summer, or any other thoughts and comments, or maybe even a challenge that you're facing that you'd like to help the team contribute some thoughts on how we might help you address a challenge in your particular region? I'll open the floor. Would anyone like to share?
So in Playa Vista, we're really excited this Sunday, which is actually Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all of you dads on the call.
Thank you, yes.
We are kicking off our summer series, Concerts and Movies in the Park. We've got a concert. We're actually going to be doing a ribbon cutting too, because the park where we're hosting our first event, Concert Park, is about 10 years old, and it's been under construction for the last 10 months with a whole new renovation. So we'll have a huge ribbon cutting ceremony before we have our event. We've got food trucks, a great band. We've had a couple of vendors in Playa Vista reach out to us and say, hey, can we be a part of it and hand out samples like Coffee Bean and Yummy grocery stores. So that's fantastic. We've got our 3 movies, 3 concerts in the park. And this year we partnered with Loyola Marymount University, their theatrical arts department. It's about 1.5 years in the making, and we're bringing Shakespeare to the park.
Wow.
So we're really excited. We've got 2 performances with them, and it's going to be, they're undergraduate students, but for each production, they also have a star performer, a guest star performer that's coming that is actually starred on Broadway doing Shakespeare and traveled around the world. So we're really excited. It's getting a lot of buzz on social media.
That's exciting, Sandra and Opal. Great. Glad to hear that. And what a great opportunity for the ribbon cutting too, right? On Father's Day weekend, on Father's Day. That's exciting. Great.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Great. So others. Okay, Joe and Michelle, I'm going to call on you guys. I'm not sure if Michelle's still on the call. I can't see some of the smaller ones there, but I'll ask Northern California. Joe and Michelle, share with us what's happening. Any updates from Boulevard?
Hey, Brent, it's Michelle Joy. So we are, we hosted a fantastic homeowner event, our first one about a month ago. Had a couple hundred homeowners out there, and so that was great. And we're then a couple weeks ago on the 24th of May, we actually did a groundbreaking for our recreation center, which will be done in about a year.
Okay.
And that was, of course, for all city officials, press, et cetera. But we had several homeowners show up to that, and that was fantastic. Really excited, really getting them excited about the amenities to come. And then next weekend, we're having a community-wide event where focused around our grand opening, but also just kind of, again, getting the homeowners involved and out to continue to build on the community. We've been getting some great referrals already from our early homeowners across the community, and so it's really coming together really nicely.
That's exciting, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you. Michelle, you're one of our newer team members, too. Is this the first lifestyle call you've been on?
It is, and I wasn't expecting that you were going to pick on me, but that's quite all right.
It's a little kind of, freshman initiative to initiate.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm glad you didn't make me sing or anything, or you guys would all be really upset.
We won't do that. But Michelle, if you would just introduce yourself then and your responsibility in the Northern California region.
Great. So yes, I joined in March, and I've been trying to make it to one of these calls, so I'm happy to be in attendance today. And I am the VP of Sales and Marketing for the Northern California division.
Great, Michelle. Thanks. Appreciate your comments on that. And thanks for sharing the exciting news. Great to have you on the team as well.
Thank you.
Hey, Brent, can I chime in?
Yes, please. Go ahead. Who is this?
This is Joe. How are you?
Oh, hi, Joe. Real good. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
please add
wanted
more
to
about exciting things.
I wanted to piggyback just quickly on Michelle's on the homeowner event that we did for Boulevard. It was a really good turnout. And one thing that I thought that we did was really cool is we kind of did like a meet the builder 10-minute, 15-minute introduction where, we had Amanda, the marketing manager, we had Michelle, Josh, all ourselves kind of introduce ourselves. So these homeowners that haven't met us in person had a face to go along with the name. So we kind of on the spot said, hey, this is Joe. I offer concierge services. And so that really got the conversation going, and it made the homeowners feel more comfortable approaching us and kind of get that conversation started and ask questions. So I think that introduction was perfect timing to do that at the top of the event.
That's a wonderful idea. Great, Joe. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I love that. Excellent. Good. Well, just a couple more minutes. There are others that want to share things that are happening. Is anyone from the Washington, D.C. region on the call? I invited Dottie, and she was unavailable, but is there anyone from D.C. that's on? Okay. How about our Denver region? Not hearing one. Okay. That's fine. Did anyone happen to join us from Hawaii? I know Egan said he was going to be traveling, so he wasn't available today, but I don't know if anyone from Hawaii joined. Okay, we'd heard from members from the other regions as well, so that's why I was asking about those other regions specifically if they had joined. Or Phoenix. Phoenix happened to come on today? Okay, well, anything from any of the team members that are still on? If you needed to drop off just a few minutes early. Anyone else?
Hey, Brent, it's Mark from Associa.
Hey, Mark. Yes.
Hi. So just a little bit of updates on what we're doing out with the lifestyle team.
Okay.
In Southern California. We have a couple events coming up. I think summer is a very busy time for our lifestyle people on site. So I know Letitia at New Haven is having a Father's Day brunch this year, which complemented a Mother's Day brunch that she did for the first time and was really successful.
Terrific.
And then, of course, there's events, summer celebrations and days in the park for pretty much months following that. And then same with Christina over at Audie Murphy Ranch. She has a movies in the park and a casino night. And then over at Rancho Tesoro, we're doing a Cabana Nights, and that's one of the events where we were able to find sponsorship from a local coffee shop that's also a restaurant at night. So they're bringing everything from the activities to food to some games, and so they were really excited for that partnership, and we were lucky to have them. On top of that, we're also in the middle of planning our national night outs at our Brookfield communities. And if you're not familiar with National Night Out, it's an annual community building campaign to partner with local law enforcement and promote that police and community partnership and camaraderie. So we're also in the middle of planning that, and have started outreach to local law enforcement and officials in the different cities that we're planning to do them. So we're pretty busy in Southern California with lifestyle. And then on top of that too, we're also trying to implement Meet Your HOA nights. I think a lot of success has come in for when we introduce the HOA to the homeowners and kind of just give them a chance to ask us questions, see us face to face at least once in the year, hopefully more than that. And so that's something also in the works, probably later towards the end of the year.
That's great, Mark. Thank you. Great update. Excellent. And thank you for sharing about National Night Out, too. For those of you that are interested in that, it is a good time to start planning now, as Mark was saying. So appreciate you saying that, Mark.
Of course.
Well, good. Team, thanks for joining us. Appreciate all of the passionate input today and all the great ideas. Appreciate the presentation from all of you today that did participate. And appreciate specifically Colette and Dustin, but all of you participating and sharing. So as you can see on the slide here, our next call is on Thursday, July 5th is what we're planning. So we'll come in the day after the 4th of July, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about some of those 4th of July activities for those of you here in the States. But we'll chat a bit more about community and look forward to hearing the latest updates, and we'll have other presentations too in that call. So we look forward to talking to everyone on Thursday, July 5th. Have a great rest of the day, and all the best to all of you. Happy Father's Day. For those, remember to call your father and tell him you love him if he's with us. So, y'all take care. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Brent.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.